concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place you wanna follow. There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, you guys? Welcome to Livestream. Despite what you might be thinking, that was nothing but a fresh, delicious Fresca. That's all. Don't freak out, Bubby. I know that an honor of a young Ripper has to represent the ideals of the young Rippers, and just drinking and burping. I eat Twizzlers and I drink Fresca, and that's all there is to it. It's so refreshing. Welcome to Livestream. Oh, you know what? And there are people who are like, why don't you just mute your... Why don't you mute your microphone when you drink? I could do that. Why don't you, if you have to sniffle or sneeze, just mute your... Yeah. You could move away. You'll be like... That's gross. And some days I agree with you. Apparently today's not one of those days. I apologize. I don't apologize. Welcome to Livestream. Hey, that's over the line, Brad Swisher. That's over the line. You have to pay extra for that. I have bad news for you guys. I have bad news. This is this series. The live stream is actually starting now. I have bad news. By the way, I am completely sober. Some people in the chat are suggesting I had a few before the stream. What I actually did, this is not the bad news. What I actually did just before the stream was like an hour of mowing my lawn. I had an epiphany. We'll get to the bad news in a little bit. Hi, welcome to Livestream. Well, I had an epiphany last week. I said, you know, I've been doing various forms of exercise. You know, I got this fitness tracker. It tells me how much exertion I had during the day, and a lot of days it says you didn't. Nah, not really. So, like, you know, I try to get a certain amount of exertion every day. I could do that by walking or running, or there are various things. And I said I really like to go out and mow the lawn, because, you know, just take a little. It's a beautiful. I like to do that. Some people go sit in the shower to relax. I go out and I mow the lawn. But you know, I also haven't gotten enough exercise. You know, the fitness tracker says I'm lazy, and so I should do some exercise. Man, I don't know which of those I'm going to choose. And then I realized you could, you know, if you didn't use the riding mower, if you just used the push mower, you could do both of those things at once. So I went and I got the push mower, and after like 45 minutes of pushing that damn thing up and down the yard, I got more exercise than I ever did on a treadmill. And I was like, well, this is dumb. So anyway, that's what I've been doing all this last week. I've been getting, instead of doing like boring, stupid, repetitive exercise, I've been just using that effing push mower, and I'll just do 45 minutes and I'll get like one little chunk of my yard done, and I'll go in, I'll be done, and I'll be done. So that's what I did before the stream. And I sat down, I took a shower, I cleaned up, I sat down, and I was like, geez, I'm kind of exhausted. And then the song starts, and I start getting in the mood for a live stream. And then I was just like, you know what? F them. Here's the bad news. So that's why I'm in a weird mood, because I'm just tired from actually exerting myself. That's about right. That's pretty much what I wear. Yeah, that's pretty much what I wear. That's about it. That's what it looks like. That guy's mower is a little bigger than mine, but that's about it. That's pretty much what it looks like. Except I'm wearing flip-flops. Not, but the pants are, yeah. Here's the bad news. Do you remember on Sunday, I mentioned this on yesterday's live stream, that I got an email from an ad agency asking me if I would do a Raid Shadow Legends live stream. I'm just going to be straight with you. I'm going to tell you dollar numbers. I'm not going to like pretend to be coy. They came to me and they said, what would you ask for an hour-long live stream? And I was like, so here's how these numbers sometimes work out. The advertiser wants to see a certain number. The number is called CPM, cost per meal, 1,000. And they typically want to see between about $15 and $30 that they spend per 1,000 views, impressions, or however you want it. So if you get a video with 1,000 views on it, they would expect to pay about, is it $15 cost per meal? 1,000, yeah. So, based on the number of views that my normal videos usually get, that works out to about $300 to $600. Thinking about the numbers now, I'm sure. Yeah, that's about right. That's about right. 10 to 20,000 views roughly for a typical video of mine. Obviously, it depends on the time frame. And so they came to me and said, "Will you do an hour-long Raid Shadow Legends live stream?" I'm like, I'm not a gamer. It's not like I'm going to be playing a game for all Saturday anyway, and I'll slip an hour of Raid Shadow Legends in there. And I said, but they said, show us your live stream statistics, and we'll make you an offer. And so I said, well, what have I got to lose? So I took a screenshot of my live stream statistics, and they came back with an offer, and it was, I don't remember what the original offer was. It was in the $500 range. I was like, yeah. And I know what you're thinking. And because I thought, it's like, if somebody offered you $500 to play Raid Shadow Legends for an hour, you're a freaking idiot if you say no. Right? I mean, if you asked me to come work for you, I wouldn't charge you $500 an hour. Like, that's not my normal consulting rate. And but especially, it was especially bothersome because, like, for a 60-second integration at $15 to $30 CPM, I would ask $300. So you want to pay me like twice that for an hour of work? Well, my live streams don't get as many views as my regular videos do. But I was just like, nah, I don't like it. No, thanks. I just said no and I walked away. They came back. They thought we were haggling. They came back and they offered me $1,000. And I was like, okay. This is, hey, wait, don't go. This is not that live stream. No, this is a normal live. I wouldn't do that to you. They said $1,000 to play Raid Shadow Legends for an hour. Like, how can I can't say no to that. I can't say no to that. So at some point, if the details work out, at some point in the next couple weeks, you're going to see me put up a Raid Shadow Legends live stream, and I'm not going to do it in place of one of my normal live streams. That would be shitty. You will get all of the normal content that you get, but at some point, if the details work out and this all doesn't fall apart, I'm going to be playing Raid Shadow Legends for an hour, and I just want you to know it's because they paid me $1,000, which is, I mean, that's a lot of money for an hour of playing video games. And in case you were wondering, oh, how much do streamers make? Well, I'm not actually Cool Cat, did they originally offer me $300? I don't remember. I would have to go back. My rule of thumb for a 60-second integration is $300 to $600. I know I've said that number before. That's based on 10 to 20,000 views and $15 to $30 CPM. So, anyway, that's the bad news. The bad news is, I don't know. I'm going to try and find a way to make it entertaining. But and here's what I expect to happen. You guys won't come watch it because that's not why you're here. I mean, some of you will come watch it. You're here for quad stuff. You won't come watch it. The analytics will suck. They will think they made a huge mistake, and then that'll be the end of it. But I'll have made $1,000. And hey, you know what? 2022 is getting tight. Anyway. Anyway, welcome to the stream, you guys. I'm going to try to make it entertaining. I'm not going to be cynical about it. I'm going to try to make it entertaining. Like, I'm not the kind of person who will take your money and then, like, grumble while I do. Like, if I didn't want to do it and if I didn't want to try to do a good job, I just wouldn't do it. But it is, like, all about the money. I just couldn't face my family if I told them, yeah, they offered me $1,000 to play video games for an hour, and I said no. How could I? How could I? All right. Drunk live stream. There we go. That's perfect. Welcome to the live stream, folks. Here's what's going on. You guys are here, and I'm going to answer your questions. Despite the fact that I've bullshitted for the last 15 minutes, what we're actually going to be doing is answering your questions. I'm going to be answering your questions here in the YouTube chat. I mean, I've never played the game before. Maybe it's an enjoyable game. I don't know. I literally have never played Raid Shadow Legends, so it's going to be an experience. It was originally $300 that they offered me. Did they really go up from 300 to 1,000? That's unbelievable. Hang on. I'm not going to show you the email out of kind of respect for the... She said, we're looking for creators who stream on YouTube, and it seems we might have a good match. And I said I would charge... I was highballing them. I said I would usually charge $600 to $1,200 for a 60 to 120 second ad read. For a dedicated 1 hour stream, it would be more. So that's actually higher than I usually, but I didn't. It was sort of out of niche. She asked for my stats. They pitched me $600 for a 1 hour stream. I said no, and they came back with 1,000. Okay, that's what actually happened. So that's how it goes. All right. If you've heard me say 300, it's probably that I said 300 to 600 is like what I would normally do for a 60 second integration. Not that I do integrations. But there you go. Bubby's going to have to help co-host. I'm not going to pay him. He can just, he needs the exposure. Bubby, you need exposure, right? That's how you get paid, right? I'm joking. Ricardo Ferreira, this is not the stream. Ricardo Ferreira is like, I don't care about a silly game. Goodbye. This is a regular Q&A stream, Ricardo. We're not playing Raid Shadow Legends. I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't promise you a Q... Okay. One time I did that. God dang it. One time I did that. One time I was having a bad night, and I called an audible, and I played a video game instead of doing the Q&A because I was just feeling bad, and the chat crucified me for it. But that wasn't a paid integration. I definitely wouldn't do that twice. Tonight we are doing normal FPV stuff. Here we are. Let's get some FPV questions in here before people think the worst. Here we are with the Discord. Here you guys are. Hit me up with a super chat if you want to leave a question. Let's get a question. I always start the live stream with a little bit of BS. That was the BS. Now it's time for questions. North Orange Squad has a question. What charger and power supply would you recommend for under $100? A charger and power supply for under $100? Or is it charger, but you already have a power supply? For under $100, is it too early in the stream to just go look at my own website? We won't do it like an ad read, but I would just check my website because we actually updated the charger section recently and went through a lot of the... We have a huge spreadsheet of chargers, and we sort of culled it down. Excuse me. If you need a power supply and charger for under $100, I think the Isdt 608AC is probably going to be the one for you. $65, and it has the specs are not, it's a 50 watt charger, 50 watts, 8 amps. And it only charges one battery at a time, but it's under $100. It's Isdt, and it will get the job done. I wish that you could swing for this. Now look, this one is a little more than $100, $118. My God, it's so good though. Ooh, look, it's even blue now. Who knew? The Hoda D6 Pro, dual channel, 200 watts, built-in AC adapter, excellent. It's a freaking tank. So durable. I've had 4 of them for years. I think this is one of the best value in chargers, period. Now, 661 FPV points out that the Isdt Q8 is 500 watts. Who cares? I say that because unless you're doing really big batteries like Cinelifter batteries or really big helicopter batteries, or I don't know, like electric skateboard batteries. If you're doing typical mini quad batteries, you don't need 500 watts unless you're big into parallel charging. Now, if you like to parallel charge and you want 500 watts, then consider getting something like the Isdt Q8. Does the Isdt Q8 have a built-in power supply? I think he wanted a built-in power supply. Does it have a built-in, or is it DC only? DC and yeah, no, it's DC only. Isdt Q8 is DC only, so that doesn't count. I think he said he wanted a power supply as well. So that's 1,000 watts. Sheesh. Yeah, so if you want something with a power supply built in, I think that the 608 AC is a good choice. or the D6 Pro would be just my pick. Frankly, I think for most people, that's the one to get. Now, I also have to mention the M6DAC. No, that's $150. Never mind. That's way out of your price range. Never mind. Take it back. Okay. Now, Left Step in the Discord has a comment that I think deserves some attention. Uh-oh, you're in trouble, Left Step. No. Left Step says, I cannot wrap my head around field charging. You're using one battery pack to charge another. Electronics class failed. I see your point. There is an argument to be made that rather than bringing one big battery and charging little batteries from the big battery, why not just bring more little batteries? But the reason for that is that the little flight packs have to be high C. They're like 100C, 120C. They're way more expensive per milliamp hour than getting like a big 20C, 10,000 milliamp hour 6S or something. So in terms of dollars per gram of weight, per milliamp hour of capacity, you can come out ahead by buying one less expensive, big 10,000 milliamp hour 5S or 6S or something. But if you have all the money in the world, just buy a bunch of flight packs and just bring more flight packs. Absolutely. Alrighty. Oh my God, Bubby, I hope you're joking. Bubby says, I have a dual charger and I charge at 15 amps per battery. Woof, that's a lot. Now you have to be very careful with things like this. This was shared by B-Man FPV in the Discord. You have to be very careful because this is listed as 60,000 milliamp hours. But the right way to compare these is not in milliamp hours, it's in watt hours. Because that is probably a 1S battery. It's a single cell. So the watt hours, the way you do it is you take the number of cells times 3.7 volts times the milliamp hours. So that is a 222,000 milliwatt hour, because we had milliamp hours. So we'll divide by 1,000. That is a 222 watt hour battery pack. Now, for perspective, that's approximately equal to 10 typical 5-inch flight packs, which are usually around 22 watt hours. So that's not nothing. That's not nothing. But if you see 60,000 milliamp hours and you think, well, I could fill up 60 1,000 milliamp hour 6Ss, you're leaving out the voltage. Okay? It's Not Sam suggests that it may not actually be a LiPo, that it may be a lithium iron phosphate battery, in which case it's 3.7 or 3.2 volts, not 3.7 volts. Valid. Oh, no. Haha, guess what? Guess what? 222 watt hours! Look, I was right! Don't you love it when I'm right? I do. Boom, 222 watt hours. So it's a lithium ion battery, 3.7 volts nominal. So at least they're honest and they share the watt hours. Some advertisers just say 60,000 milliamp hours and they don't tell you the voltage, they don't tell you the watt hours, and they're essentially hoping that you don't notice and they're trying to take advantage of you. All right. So this is, I mean, that might be good, but before you compare that to a 10,000 milliamp hour 6S that you just bought from Hobby King or something, do the math on the watt hours. Lithium iron phosphate are pretty freaking cool, but expensive. Let's see. See, I told you we'd talk about FPV and stop talking about Raid Shadow Legends. Sahar Mesri is talking about using solar. I think it's pretty difficult to use solar to keep up with a typical sort of charging situation. Like if I search for portable solar panel, What am I going to find? 100-watt portable solar panel, 100-watt Jackery solar panel, 200-watt. All right, so like it looks like we get about 100 to 200 watts, and that is best case scenario, direct sunshine and so forth. So if you think about it, like if we do the math, 100 watts, let's say we're charging a 6S, so 6 times 3.7 times, that's 22 watt hours. That's 22 watt hours. That means at 22 watts, we would charge the battery in an hour. Am I messing up the math? That actually seems like it would make sense. If the solar panel is delivering 100 watts, we could charge a battery at 1C. We could charge a battery at theoretically up to about 5C, but not quite. Could we charge? I swear I've run this numbers before and the math didn't work out. I don't know. Seems like the math would work. It's not. Sam says my 100-watt panels get about 40 to 60 watts on average in summer conditions in Oregon. I mean, in theory, you could charge a battery at 1C. That's not going to keep you flying, though, right? That's not going to keep you flying. You couldn't possibly charge packs fast enough to keep yourself in the air. That's my point, I guess. Alrighty. Let's move on. Continuing on, let's look for questions here. In the Discord. Ooh, pineapple cider, Athix. Hell yes. Ace pineapple cider. I do like pineapple cider. What about the ISDT P10? Does it have AC built in? I don't think it. That's, I think, going to be the sticking point. It does not. So if, in fact, he wanted a built-in power supply, those are the options. Pro has 1 watt Express LRS output. The Zorro only goes up to 250 milliwatts. Some people would consider that to be a deal break, the deal breaker, but to my mind, the T Pro has some issues that would. Oh, dang it! What's going on? Cool. Oh man, that hasn't happened in a long time. That hasn't happened in a while. We back? I think we're back. Wow, that hasn't happened in weeks. Like 2 weeks. I haven't had any problems with my internet. Literally. Let's see if we can continue the stream. That better not happen during my Raid Shadow Legends stream. The sponsor won't be happy about that. To my mind, the Zorro is better than the T Pro. The control layout is better. I like the ergonomics better. The Zorro has the option to put AG01 gimbals in, which are nice upgraded metal gimbals. The big disadvantage of the Zorro is that it has smaller batteries, so you have to charge it more often. You get about an hour and a half if you have the Express LRS module turned up to full power. I don't think either of them is perfect, but between the two, I like the Zorro over the Jumper. But you can watch the review of both of them and see what you think. To my mind, I think the Zorro has a little bit of an edge. I wish the Zorro was 1 watt output power, but it isn't. And I wish the Zorro had bigger batteries, but it doesn't. Let's get some super chats, folks. Corey B, thank you for a $5 super chat. I'm looking at upgrading my charger, and I'm confused. Hold on, let me clear that. I'm confused about how to use DC power. I have a Corsair RM1000X, and I'm hoping it can be converted. Well, let's take a look. What is the Corsair RM1000X? Okay, so you probably can convert this to power your charger, but it's going to be a little bit of a hassle, and it's not going to be as good as you kind of think it would be. Now, I do love the fact that this is modular. That's going to make your life so much easier, because one of the things you do when you convert a power supply is you like remove all the wires you're not using. So usually what you do is you take the 12 volt outputs. Hello. You take the 12 volt outputs and basically you combine them together. And you have to figure out how many watts the 12 volt rail is rated for. Hello. Can we see this? Can we see the label? I can't find any pictures of the label that shows the rating. Anywhere? A manual? Have we got a manual? Nothing. So you got to figure out the wattage of the 12 volt rail or rails. And the key thing, as EMPFPV points out, it's not a 1,000 watt power supply. It's 1,000 watts total across all of its rails. So it's got a 5 volt rail, it's got a 12 volt rail, and the 12 volt rail itself, who knows what its rating is? Well, normally you can find it on a sticker on the side of the power supply. I don't see that in the photos. Should we find a manual? RM1000X, there we go. Are we going to be able to... Here's the power table. There we go. That's what we're looking for. So the 12 volt rail is rated for 83 amps at 1,000 watts. Wow, that's respectable. That is rated for a full 1,000 watts on the 12 volt rail. That's effing respectable. That's a good power supply. Okay, fair enough. The other thing is there a single 12 volt rail? It does look like there is. Sometimes they'll have more than one 12 volt rail and they won't have the full output on all of them. So then what you're going to do is you're going to get the cable. Which one's going to... I'm not a computer guy. I mean, I have built computers before, but I just plug everything where it goes. Which of these has 12 volts in it? Is the peripheral cable? Is that the one that's going to have 12 volts? No, that's for the powers. That's for the hard drives. You're going to need like a PCIe cable, which has 12 volts in it. Right? This is the one that goes to your graphics card, and that's the big beefy one. So what you're going to need is you're going to need at least one, and maybe more than one, of these PCIe cables. And you're going to need to like combine the 12 volt pins. And this is where it's going to get annoying. You're going to need to combine the 12 volt pins because you don't want to pull 80 amps over one of these small wires. That's one of the reasons why this is not a terrible idea, but it's a pain in the ass. Okay? Because it's made to put out power over a bunch of little wires, and you need it to put out a bunch of power over one wire. So you can get it done, but you're going to need to put some thought into it. The fact that it's a modular power supply is going to help a lot. You're going to plug in all those 12 volt wires, and then you're going to basically cut the ends off and like combine them and connect them to an XT60. Alrighty. Is there something that can just do this automatically? The thing is, like, you're going to ruin a good power supply. I guess not. You're just going to plug in the wires. Like, you can get a, thank you to, the 12 volt power you looked at on the power supply was input. That was input, not output? Oh, shoot. That's the, no, that was the max load. That was the max load. No. Max load, 70. Yeah. No, it wasn't. Max load, max output. See? 83 amps. 1000 watts. 12 volts. AC input, 12 volts. I'm pretty sure I read that right. I could be wrong. The thing is, you could just buy something like this, which is 1000 watt. What is it? 12 volt? 12 volt. It's 1000 watt, 12 volt for $83. I guess that's not nothing, especially because it's a Chinese one and maybe it'll die. I don't know. All right, moving on. Evan Wynn, thank you for a $5 super chat. I'd really like to get into chasing drift cars at local events. They are concerned about the legal end. What would be the best way to go about it? Evan, look, this is my experience going to drift events. You show up at what looks like a parking lot out behind, an AutoZone, out, 45 minutes away from the nearest big city. And there's a bunch of rednecks standing around with their drift cars. And you walk up and you say, hey, do you guys mind if I fly my drone? And they go, hell no. And then they all start hooting and hollering. And they all, let you chase your car around. That's basically what it's like. I have never gone to a drift event and had anyone say, well, do you have insurance? And because they don't have, I don't know if they have insurance, but they're just out there to have a good time. And, they wreck their cars sometimes. They bang in their cars are all beat up. Nobody gives a crap. So if you went to a drift event and it was your first drift event and you said, do you mind if I fly my drone? And the person said, well, do you have insurance? I don't know. We have to think about the legality. You need a lower class of drift event. Okay? you need to go to a different drifting event. Okay, so I'm teasing you a little bit. Evan says these are put on at an NHRA drift track, so there's a bunch of legal stuff. Yeah. I mean, you have to ask them what they want, right? At the end of the day, there's two ways to think about this problem. One is, what is your legal exposure, and how are you going to protect yourself from your own risk to yourself? And the other is, what do they want from you for them to be okay with the amount of risk? So if I want to fly somewhere, like we were at a racetrack once, and one of the guys who lives near the racetrack said, yeah, come on down. We fly there all the time. It's no big deal. So I did. And of course, the day I go, while we're flying, someone from the racetrack comes up and goes, are you guys flying those drones? Yeah, no, you can't do that. And he's like, I don't know, man. This is the first time that's ever happened. In a situation like that, you say, let's assume that you're asking permission and you're not being kicked out. You say, well, what do you need? What do you need from me? And usually they'll say, okay, well, we'll get back with you. And they'll come back and they'll say, well, usually at that point, they'll say, you can't do it. We talked to the boss. He said no. Because if they don't immediately just go, yeah, go for it, who cares? Then probably whoever's in charge is just going to say no. But they may come back and they say, we need general liability. We need to, whatever. We need to see that you have a 107. They'll tell you what they want. And then you have the option to either do it or not. But you have to understand that you have liability as well. So let's say they go, nah, you're good. Have fun. And then while you're flying, you crash and you cause an accident. You break somebody's window. And they say, how are you going to make this right? Then what are you going to do? So you have to consider your own exposure. Are you going to get insurance? I have to say, unless you're doing it professionally, if you're trying to do it professionally, then you should have an LLC. You should have, some kind of liability insurance, at the very least, like just a general liability insurance. Potentially you would want specific insurance to cover, because this is such an unusual activity. General liability insurance might go, what are we doing that for? So you might potentially want a specific kind of policy or rider that covers this type of activity. But if you're just doing it for fun, then I would try not to start at like an official track with NHRA rules, and I would be like, nah, never mind. I'm just going to go find some guys tearing around a parking lot. So, the thing is, I wouldn't feel comfortable flying. I wouldn't feel comfortable flying if I didn't know that the drivers were fine with it, that the organizers were fine with it. And I realize this is a little bit of a luxury. You're like, well, I don't know where that event is. This is the event I know about, and I want to fly at it. But to me, at least, that sketches me out. Like, let's say the person or organization running the event says, okay, you're good. Does the driver know? Is the driver okay with it? Is the driver going to be happy if you hit their car? That doesn't feel good to me. I want to show up, like, and you know, we show up for a Rotor Ride episode and there's dirt bikers. And you go, hey, do you guys mind if we fly around you? And they're like, hell yeah. And you're like, okay, we're going to do our best not to hit you. Ah, screw it. I got pads. Let's go. That's good. Now we're all having a good time. You know? Okay. Wesley Reen. I hope that was helpful, Evan Wynn. I hope that was helpful. I don't know if it was. Just a bunch of sort of babbling, but I hope it helped. Wesley Reen, thank you for a $10 super chat. Is there a module that uses the access protocol? No, there is not. Is getting a radio with it built in the only option? Yes, with an asterisk. There is a tutorial out there on the internet for how you can take the access module out of an access radio and install it in an OpenTX radio instead of the usual internal module. And there's a custom build of OpenTX that runs it. Obviously, that's not something that most people are going to do. For most people, the answer is going to be you have to buy a radio with access built in if you want access. T3R Pro says, why is the delivery cost so high for your new kit? I'd like to buy your kit, but it costs $70 for the delivery. So what T3R Pro is talking about is this. It's my new build kit from GetFPV and Joshua Bardwell. There's a new builds video series with instructions for how to build it. If you want to build your very first drone, I suggest this as a good choice. The parts are, it's reasonably priced for 2022. It's painful that $300 is a reasonable price in 2022, but there you go. It's in stock and it has everything you need except the receiver. That's the thing. Some people said, well, I think I could buy those parts separately for cheaper. No, you can't. Like, you could find a store listing but it's not in stock. So, why is it so expensive to ship to France? I have no idea. Like, at the end of the day, like if I say add to cart, I haven't even signed in. Proceed to checkout. Is it going to want me to sign in or can I do it as a guest? Let's see what I can do. Can I not just do it as a guest? Here we go. No. Maps. What's the address? I just need an address. I need any address. Just need an address. Okay, here we go. 224 Rue de Bercy, 75012, Paris. Can I... Let's see what my options are. France? I don't know a region. Paris? Is that a region? PQRS. Paris. Address type, residential, city, Paris, zip postal code, 75012. It is not invalid. Shut your mouth. Shipping methods. Looks to me like it costs $18 economy shipping. Oh, there you go. Now it filled in some other ones. So it looks to me like $18 for economy shipping. Now, I'm not sure that's a good idea. Economy shipping international, it doesn't seem super reliable. But those seem to be the choices that are available. Okay, I don't know. T3R Pro. The thing is, wherever you are, that's just what it costs. They offer the shipping methods, and then it's just what it costs to ship it. I mean, we're not in charge of the shipping costs, right? They have a service that, you know, just decides what options are available, and yeah, Express Worldwide, I don't know. But that's just how much it costs to ship something to Paris. That's all I can say. But I wanted to just verify myself to see if I was crazy. Yeah, it's not, the thing is, it's not like they're ripping you off. GetFPV doesn't make any money on that shipping. That's just what it costs for them to ship the item. Unfortunately, then you're also going to get dinged for customs. But what's the alternative? I don't think there's an alternative. So that's just what it costs to ship something to France or to wherever you are, unfortunately. There may be cheaper options, but a lot of times stores will not use the cheapest options because when stuff gets lost, the store has a customer service problem, and sometimes they have to replace the item. So some stores will refuse to use cheaper items because they don't offer tracking or whatever, but I don't know what the exact situation is there. Continuing on, Steve E, thanks for a $10 super chat. I just sent an email or DM with photos, but I built a 5-inch 400 gram with the problem child Beast H7 nearly ready. Would you wrap it and send it or install a new stack that's on hand? Yeah. 5-inch 400 grams with the Beast H7 AIO. I mean, you might as well try it, right? What's the email? Unfortunately, I have a lot of emails. Bowiz, the Bardwell F4 cannot operate a hexacopter with 6 motors. It only has 4 motor outputs, and I don't think you could remap them. I'm not 100% sure, but I think you're out of luck there. Steve E. Steve E. What did you send me, man? Steve E. Apparently you were a giveaway winner once upon a time. I wonder if that's the same Steve E. Oh, here we go. Let's take a look at Steve's build. 400 gram, that's pretty respectable. Some big motor wires. That's a tiny, tiny boy. Yeah. 5-inch H7 Beast AIO. Yeah, I mean, you may as well go for it. What's the problem? The problem is, I mean, does bidirectional D-Shot work? Like, I don't think I would throw out a $90 flight controller just because there might be a problem. I think I would probably give it a try. Those are some chonky motor wires. You better watch your soldering there. Make sure you didn't short anything. Capiello FPV says, I was watching a video of Chris Rosser explaining PID and feed forward, what feed forward does and what it has to do with overshoot, what exactly the quad does when it's overshooting. What does feed forward do and what does it have to do with overshoot? I'm trying to think what you're asking here. So the P, the I, and the D term, the problem with them is that they only respond to the problem after the problem has started happening. Here's the analogy. Here's the analogy I'm going to use, right? The goal of the P and the I and the D is to make sure that the quadcopter's movement matches the commanded rate. So you move a stick, okay? You move a stick, and that stick commands the quadcopter to rotate a certain rate, okay? At a certain rate, 200 degrees per second, 700 degrees per second, whatever you like. The P, the I, and the D detect when the quadcopter is not rotating at the commanded rate, and then they cause the motors to speed up or slow down to try to fix that. But here's the problem. The P, the I, and the D are reactive. The set point moves, the stick moves, The quadcopter is not rotating in the correct way, and the P, the I, and the D go, oh crap, guys, get to work, and they react. So an analogy for that is this. Let's say that, there's a kid, and the kid is going to steal a cookie from the cookie jar. And the kid they reach their hand out. And the command is, don't take a cookie out of the cookie jar. Okay? The kid reaches their hand out. They lift the lid off. The P, the I, and the D, they don't care. Hey, nothing's gone wrong yet. Everything is as it should be. No cookies have been stolen. We're stretching the analogy here a little bit. The kid puts their hand in the cookie jar. The P, the I, and the D go, any cookies being stolen? Not yet. Everything is fine. The kid removes a cookie from the cookie jar. And P, I, and D go, whoa, something's wrong here. Hey, fix this. Too late. The P, the I, and the D slap the cookie out of the kid's hand and put it back in the cookie jar. We're really stretching the analogy here. My point is that P, I, and D are both reactive. They wait for there to be error. And when the error occurs, they try to correct the error. And they do it in different ways, but they're all reactive. Feed forward is different. The way that feed forward works is the kid reaches their hand out, and feed forward goes, get away from that cookie jar. Feed forward knows what's about to happen and immediately starts correcting. So feed forward is based on your stick movement. Feed forward knows that when you move the stick, there will always be a short period of time where the quadcopter is not doing what it's being told to do. Because at this time right now, the quadcopter is doing what it's being told to do. The stick is centered, the quad is not rotating. The second I move the stick, I've created this disparity between what the quad is doing and what it's supposed to be doing. And what feed forward does is, as soon as you move the stick, feed forward starts pushing the motors to cause the quad to begin rotating. And maybe it's a little too much, or maybe it's not quite enough, but it's just like, get moving and we'll sort it out. We'll sort out the rest, in the future. Okay. So that's sort of what feed forward is like. People in the chat are freaking out because it's finally happened. Betaflight 4.3 is here. I don't know about patient. Betaflight 4.3.0 has released. Blah, 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 blah. It has no bugs. And it's perfect. It's only been 2 years. We're finally here. D-term configurable expo curve. Whoa. Yeah, feed forward, GPS rescue. VBET sag compensation. So many things. I remember when Emergent RC Ghost first came out, and I was like, I'll wait for Betaflight 4.3. Took a while. That was a year ago. Oh, man. Look at this. Look at this. It's finally here. Slider tuning. Look at this. Look at all these. Where's the contributors? Look at all these fixes. This is massive. This is probably the biggest release of Betaflight 4.3 ever. Look at all these contributors too. Massive thanks to all you guys. Massive thanks to all you guys who make their contributions. Amazing. Amazing. Tony Cake made their first contribution. Oh my goodness. Limon. Yeah. We're here, guys. It's now, if only I could buy a flight controller. All right. AMA does not cover you at AMA approved fields. I'm pretty sure about that. That's not correct, Eric. Eric Toft. I think I can see you guys are talking about this in some depth in the chat. I remember looking into this, and I thought I remembered that the AMA insurance covers you as long as you're flying according to AMA safety guidelines, but you do not have to be flying at an AMA field. These are the safety guidelines. What about the insurance? I'm not sure we're going to find a link to the insurance. That's what I thought. You have to be flying in accordance with the safety code. And, you know, for the record, a lot of, like, I will maintain visual contact without enhancement or other corrective lenses. I will comply with AMA's advanced flight system programming. Like, there are a lot of, if you're just flying at a field, you could violate these and they could say, we're not going to cover you. But I do not think you need to be at an AMA field. Pretty sure that's not true. Oh, Eric was agreeing. Yeah. It's a common misconception about AMA insurance. Bullet point number 1. AMA's coverage is not limited to flying at chartered club sites or sanctioned events. It applies to model operation on private or public property. However, you basically, I'm pretty sure that they say that you need to be flying in accordance with AMA safety regulations. And quite a lot of what we do when, what you guys, not me, quite a lot of what you guys get up to when you're flying FPV would be seen as violating those regulations in some ways. So don't think that just because you have AMA insurance that you're just covered. But you do not need to be at an AMA field. Bubby, I disagree that AMA insurance is just a thing to get you into events, Rampage, IO Champs. It is true that that's why a lot of people get AMA membership. But the insurance, I have heard of people making claims and getting payouts from it. It is the case that you might get a payout from them if you have a problem. Continuing the super chats. Darvinder K, thank you for a $5 super chat. Love your recent C rating video. To clarify, assuming the batteries are in great shape and the voltage is matched, can you parallel charge multiple batteries at 2C? Sure. Yeah. Yeah, you can parallel charge at 2C. I mean, bear in mind that you have to add up the milliamp hours to get the C rating. Captain Cush FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. Saw your video on choosing batteries, and I'm excited to get the spreadsheet. But I'm interested to know your opinion on a good 1S smart battery. I don't think there is such a thing as I don't know what a 1S smart battery is. A good 1S battery like for tiny whoops? Bubby, I agree with you. Bubby says my point is I wouldn't trust the insurance. I agree, Bubby. Like, I wouldn't count on it. If I had AMA insurance, I do actually because I'm an AMA member. If I have AMA insurance and I had an incident, I might think, well, maybe I should file a claim. Why not? But I wouldn't be like, don't worry guys, I got AMA insurance. I got this. If I really cared, like if I was like an Alex Vanover, on the set with Michael Bay, and I was flying a Cinelifter around talent and around expensive vehicles, I would go to an insurance agent and I would say, I need insurance that's going to cover me in this specific circumstance. Because if you say, I got homeowner's insurance, it'll cover me. Will it? When you go to the agent and you say, I got a homeowner's claim, and they're like, what happened? A tree fall on your fence? Shingles come off your roof? Well, actually, I was flying my drone and I crashed into a car. I crashed into my neighbor's garage or crashed into, whatever. Like, you were flying your what? Well, that's not covered. And now you got to argue with them. Okay? So the more honest you are with your insurance agent when you are buying the policy, the more certain you can be that they're going to cover whatever shenanigans you get up to. So, Captain Kush, I don't know what a 1S smart battery is. A good 1S whoop battery is like the Newbie Drone Nitro Nectar. Sergio Gonzalez, thank you for a $5 super chat. My Express LRS transmitter and receiver are binding, but when I move the sticks, there's no response in Betaflight. Sergio, there are several ways. So I want to acknowledge that we're probably not going to solve this here on the live stream because the amount of back and forth that's required to get all the answers. Here's what I would do though. The first thing I would do is I would check your wiring and make sure that the TX and the RX wire from the receiver go to the RX and the TX wire on the flight controller. I would check the correct UART is enabled in the ports tab. And then at that point, I'm not sure what I would do if it wasn't working, but those are the main things to check. Torpedo Law asks, your radio is out of stock? You mean my JB Radio Master? Everything is out of stock. Everything is out of... Welcome to 2022. Everything is out of stock. If there's something that you want and it's in stock, buy it right now. And if there's something that you want and it's out of stock, consider back ordering it because otherwise you just may not get it. And if you're not okay with that, that's fine. I respect that. But like, it's like, it's frustrating. It's frustrating when things are out of stock. It's frustrating for me. There are things like just recently, I crashed this Tiny Whoop into a pool, and I'm halfway through recording a review of it, and now it's crashed in a pool. It's dead. I killed it. Crap. So I tried to buy another one because I said to I didn't want to go to the sponsor. This was sent to me by Makerfire. Sent this to me. And I didn't want to go to them and say, I crashed it into the pool and killed it. Can you send me another one? I thought that would be pretty rude. So I was like, well, I'll just buy one. It's pretty good drone. I couldn't find one anywhere until the chat told me that there was one at Tiny Whoop store, and I bought it. I was able to get it, thank God. But like everything is out of stock. And sometimes people say, hey, I want to get your radio, but it's out of stock. And I'm like, yup. And they're like, well, when will it be in stock? And I'm like, I don't eventually, someday. And the thing is, stuff comes into stock. I asked Makerfire, when is this going to come back into stock? Because if I'm going to release a review of this, it'd be kind of dumb if it was just out of stock everywhere. May as well time the review. Oh, wouldn't that be smart? And they said, well, actually, we just got a batch. And they showed me a picture of the batch. They were like, it literally just came into the warehouse today. And the batch is like 50 of them. I don't know if it was the whole batch. But like, I guarantee you, they have enough back orders that this will never show as in stock on their website. Because they're going to get them in, they're going to ship the back orders, and guess what? It's out of stock. If you want one, you just got to back order it. Sorry. That's just how it is. Scott Milano, what's a good 5-inch frame for 300 to 400 grams all up weight? 300 to 400, that's... the FPV cycle. FPV cycle. I mean, I feel like if you said 250 grams, we'd be in a special class of frame. But a 400 gram, you're just going to use a regular lightweight 5-inch frame. So like a really good lightweight 5-inch frame is the Glide, or maybe the 4-Ride, or the Power Pick could be interesting. That's really cheap too, $20. A 5-inch Power Pick could be really interesting. But yeah, like the Glide, you're just going to look for a 110 to 90 gram 5-inch frame. And that's what I'm going to suggest you go with. The Glide would be really good in that weight. Is it on sale for $17? That sounds impossible. There you go, $50. Still a very good price. Sold out. Told you. Everything is sold out. The Tooth Fairy 2 has a 5mm arm option, 5 inches, and it's super lightweight. The Source One V4, good choice. C. Hoffner, thank you for a $20 super chat. I'm installing GPS on a ProTech 35 and somehow got lost a video in the process. No static, just a blank screen. Okay, no static with blank screen means the VTX is working. If you have OSD on the screen but no camera, it means the flight controller is working. There's still a chance that this is the camera. What you could do is you could wire the camera video wire directly to the VTX video wire, just temporarily connect them, and see if you get video. And that would prove that the camera is working and would implicate the flight controller. If the camera isn't working, then you got to replace the camera. That's how you troubleshoot that. Redbeard, the pilot, thank you for a $5 super chat. Is your lens cap on, C. Hoffner? Good question. Thank you, Kinjuro Gi or G? I'm not sure how to say that. Mupshot says, I worked at a computer store many years ago. Our manager used to hold on to hot product that had been pre-ordered, sold it to people with cash in hand instead of honoring the back orders first. And let me guess, he marked it up, Mupshot. I mean, we know that's a thing that happens. You know, that sucks, but I mean, it's just, I don't want to bang this drum for another 20 minutes, but I have to say, in 2022, if you wait for everything to be in stock, you will miss out on a lot of items. In 2022, I think you have to be a little more willing to back order. And like, a back order from Race Day Quads, Get Up PV, Pyrodrone, Newbie Drone, a back order from like a reputable store is a different story than a back order from some other websites whose I won't name names because I don't want to be rude. Like you back order a product from Get FPV and 2 months later they haven't shipped it. And you're like, hey, I want my money back. Well, they just give you your money back. They don't care. Right? So, but you're out your money. But what are you going to do? Redbeard the pilot, thank you for a $5 super chat. That might be the best PID analogy from a parent I've ever heard. Any recommendations for Express LRS whoop boards? Yup. This is the one. This is the one. This is the one. Now you can't get it. You can't buy it anywhere. F you. This is the best tiny whoop board, dare I say, that's ever been made. It might be. That might be a little too bold. The Happy Model Diamond. Here's why it's so good. Express LRS on board. No, hang on one second. I got to do something real quick. Hold on. Inspect element. Okay, where is this? Can I see this? Right here in the title. How do I actually edit the element though? Oh, come on. That's the CSS. I don't want the CSS. I want the actual content. Oh, I got to expand it. Here we go. Yes, perfect. Okay, and can I edit this? Okay. There we go. Done. F you! Okay, we took Free Sky out of there. Eirik Toft, I hope you're proud of me, sir. Okay, why is it so good? It's got Express LRS on board, which is the way to be for whoops. It's got a 400 milliwatt video transmitter. No joke, 400 milliwatts. Yes, sir. And it's super lightweight. That's a very specific use flight controller. Yeah, the specific use of wanting the best tiny whoop you can get. I will fight you for it. So this, now, what are the downsides? It has solder on motors. That's true. And people don't like that it has a copper wire instead of a ceramic antenna. Although I think that's a little bit of a toss-up. The copper wire may be more durable. But honestly, Express LRS built in a 400 milliwatt VTX really opens up what you can do with a tiny whoop. I think this is so good. It's so good. All right, what else is out there? The Flywoo Goku. Bubby likes the Flywoo Goku AIO whoop board. I got a lot of pads on there, that's for damn sure. The thing is, does this have a built-in VTX? Oh, shocker. Rotor Riot sells it. Does it have a built-in... Oh, it's the Babito. I see why Bubby likes it. Yeah, this is not... This is... I mean, it doesn't have a VTX and it doesn't have a receiver on board. This is more for, like, a toothpick style build. He says, yes, it does. 250 milliwatts. Is that... Where is that? Why doesn't it say that? Does it say that, Bubby? Oh, here it is. Built-in 250 milliwatt VTX. Fair enough. That's respectable. Guess you still need a receiver. That's respectable. It does have a receiver? What receiver has it got? It's Free Sky, isn't it? SPI receiver. It's Free Sky. It does say that, Bubby. It's just me. It just didn't... I expected to see it on the specifications. Yeah, not bad. It's here in the paragraph, Bubby. It's just not in the specifications. That's all. I really think... I mean... I don't want to be a snob, but I really think Express LRS is where it's at for whoops. Would I trust the diamond on 13mm motors? Athix, I'm not qualified to make that call, but if I remember right, Bob Ruge, I don't think so. If we look at the listing for the FPV Cycle 13mm motor, I'm pretty sure Bob recommend. No. You need at least. Does he have a recommendation? He doesn't. What? It's his flight controller where he recommends it. Hello. No, it's the Whoop flight controller. Whoop stack flight controller 6S 45 AMP-SC. That's not the one. This is the one. 1S 2S AIO. Max motor is 1302.5 6400 kV 2S. And he says 7 amp FETs. So I think it's on the edge there. He's willing to spec a 7 amp FET for this one and says a 13mm motor is at the edge. I think you're probably pushing it to run 13mm motors on that diamond. It's really for tiny whoops like 08, 07, 08 motors, or Ciati in the chat says maybe 1102. 13mm is overkill. I think that's true. Okay. Line Stalker, thanks for a $5 super chat. I have a Mamba 65 amp ESC with a shield. The shield is not connected to ground. Is it doing anything? Yeah, it's doing a little bit. It would be doing more if it was connected to ground, but it is doing something. That's the short answer. Flexo 3D, thank you for a $5 super chat. Will saved custom Betaflight 4.3 presets and PIDs from the iFlight Blitz F7 work fine on the new Blitz F7 with the BMI 270? Probably. Flexo, Betaflight 4.3 has accommodated the BMI 270 gyro. So the problem with the BMI 270 gyro used to be that the built-in hardware filter was at like 800 hertz, and Betaflight assumed a gyro with a built-in hardware filter closer to 250 hertz. And that's true for all of the other gyros Betaflight uses. So Betaflight's default filtering was a little bit insufficient if you were using a BMI gyro. However, Chris Rosser raised this point and brought attention to it, and the Betaflight devs have made a change to Betaflight where if the flight controller is using the BMI 270 gyro and you're on Betaflight 4.3, then they make a change in the gyro to change its low pass filter, and it brings it back down to 250 hertz, which is where Betaflight expected it to be anyway. So the bottom line is, if you're using Betaflight 4.3, you can use a PID preset on a flight controller that's switched from the MPU 6000 to the BMI 270. I would feel safe doing that. But not if you're using 4.2. Hey, Bastian Sonderman, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Techno Babbler, thanks for a $5 super chat. I've got 6 Crossfire Nanos that aren't in quads. I don't want to switch because of this. How do we get the best performance out of Crossfire for racing? Lock it in 150 hertz mode. That's it. It'll be fine. That's not going to be the thing that makes you lose a race. Probably. Verdi, we're caught up on super chats now. That only took 45 minutes. We got a question here from Verdi, who asks, does the ESC amps have to match with the motor amps? The ESC amps have to be more than the amps that the motor will pull. Yeah. I don't know, guys. I just, I like tiny whoops. I do. I sound like I'm trying to make an excuse. I like tiny whoops, but I don't fly them as much as I would. And one reason is that the freaking stupid 25 milliwatt video that a lot of them have, some of them go higher, I know. And then the freaking stupid FreeSky SPI receiver that almost all of them have. And one way or another, you just can't get, you have to just constrain yourself to sitting, flying in your living room. And I know that's a little bit of a generalization, and that's not true that in every case, but that's how it feels to me when I sit down to fly them. And this Happy Model Diamond board in this Mobeetle, I asked Ciati today, what do you think of this? And he's like, the motors need to be higher kV. Maybe so. But just the video and control link range of this thing were so refreshing right before I flew it into a pool. It was so refreshing to have 400 milliwatts. And yeah, it's a stupid wire antenna. It's not a good, So are you really getting 400 milliwatts? So you're getting more than 25 milliwatts. That's for damn sure. T3R Pro wants to join the Discord server. You join the Discord server by becoming a patron. It's as good a time as any to do a little plug for me. I talked at the beginning of the stream about how in exchange for a large sum of money, I was willing to do a Raid Shadow Legends stream. This is not that stream, though. This stream is not sponsored by anybody except you. And I feel like I'm doing an NPR plug. And NPR is like, we're doing a pledge drive. We need the support of our listeners. And I'm like, fast forward, fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. But you can't fast forward. But you can contribute to NPR, and I do. Because let's face it, Terry Gross is chef's kiss. But you can support me by joining my Patreon. There's a link in the video description to my Patreon website, which is a website that lets you subscribe to your favorite creators. Every month, a little bit of money is taken out of your credit card or your payment method. You decide how much. It could be as little as $2 or as much as you like. It's up to you. It's a great way to support me. And one of the things you get is access to my Discord server. I also put my live streams up as podcasts. They're available through the Patreon website, or there's a custom URL you can import into your podcast reader if it supports that. That's basically it, because mostly I want you to become a patron because you are so thankful for the content that I make. I don't want you to do it because you expect a reward, although there are small token rewards as a thank you. But mostly I just want you to be, God dang, this guy makes so much good content. I'm going to sign up to his Patreon. That's what I do when I watch a creator. Eventually I go, I'm going to support this guy. And if today's that day, or if you just want to get on my gosh darn Discord server, link in the video description. Okay, that's it. That's the ad read. How'd I do? Augie103 has a question. I hope I said your name right. Augie. Says, I have a brand new Mamba FC with the BMI 270 gyro, and I put Betaflight 4.3 RC7 on it. The special low-pass filter was not enabled by default. Blunty helped me, and I had to enable it via CLI. I mean, I believe you. Blunty, are you here? Blunty's here. He's in the chat. Blunty, am I wrong about that? I put him on the spot a little bit, I guess. I thought that Betaflight had enabled the revised low pass for the BMI 270 gyros. Is it not automatically done? Let's find out once this message gets through and they chat back. I mean, I guess you could always check. Let's take a look. We were just, Blunty was just talking about this in the Discord. What is the... Well, that's not going to help. I'm just trying to... Yeah, here we go. Gyro hardware LPF. That's the option. And... Oh, flibbity gibbet. There we go. Gyro hardware LPF. Normal, option 1, option 2, and experimental. That doesn't seem right. Let's see if Blunty has replied. No answer from Blunty. Let's see if we can find any answers. I don't know. I really literally, Blunty sent me a message about, we was talking about this. I think he was talking about it in a channel though, so I'm not sure I could find it. There is a filter. I don't think that was it though. Maybe it's normal. Maybe that is it. And it depends on the gyro type. Let me look at my old conversation with Blunty to see if dang. All right, I have to research this and get back to you. But I'm not sure I should do it. Yeah. The Betaflight Discord. Well, I'm pretty sure that Blunty... Here we go. Thank you. Yes! Here we go. So... Gyro hardware LPF. But I don't see those options. I see option 1 and option 2. Do I need to update to a new firmware? Maybe that's my firmware is out of date. Maybe that's it. So the default should be gyro hardware LPF equals normal. You would think that would be the default. And the BMI gyro OSR 4 mode with cutoff at 300 Hertz. That's the desirable one, right? Yeah. I think this is the default, and that's the fix, which is lowering the cutoff from 750 to 300. So what was your experience? Let's see here. The BMI preset does that. It removes the hardware low pass and adds a software low pass. But that's the preset. I thought you didn't have to do the preset anymore, Blunty. So Blunty, I think you're talking about here in the configurator. I thought you didn't have to do this anymore. Well, if I'm wrong, I'll be glad to learn that I'm wrong before I tell anybody else. So we've got the BMI 270 preset. Is that what we're talking about? And let me move this over to the other screen so I can see the chat. Is this the BMI preset you're talking about, Plenty? It's going to be awfully hard to have this conversation. Should just call him up. I don't think you need the preset anymore. That's my thing. I thought that the change to... oh, this is 4 to 11. That's why. Okay. This is not on. Okay, so let's just flash this with 4.3. Why not? We'll flash it right here. We'll do it live! We don't need no expert mode. We don't need no unstable releases. I thought you didn't need to apply that preset anymore. Yeah, it removes the hardware low pass and sets a software low pass instead. But I thought you didn't have to do that now that they changed the hardware low pass. Because now the hardware low pass defaults to 300, which is about what you want. We're coming up on an accord. T3R Pro. By default, the BMI has OSR4 active, which is the hardware low pass. But yeah, but that's fine, isn't it? If the hardware low pass has been changed from 750 to 300 hertz, isn't that fine to have the hardware low pass? I thought the problem was that the hardware low pass was at 750 hertz. And then the Betaflight devs changed it, the hardware low pass down to 300, and that fixed it. So you don't have to do a preset anymore, although you certainly can. There you go. No. I only see option 1, option 2, and experimental. That's odd. Shouldn't that be renamed? Well, we'll have to figure this out. I think we probably shouldn't hack at it anymore here on the live stream. I'll have to figure it out. But I may maybe I need to update my advice, or maybe I'm just having a little bit of a communication question. Spencer, I do think it's safe to run a 4.3 RC backup on the fully released 4.3. That's fine. All right. I hope you guys are not hearing the beat a beat. A T3R Pro asks, why do you pay Patreon and not PayPal? Because Patreon takes, first of all, Patreon doesn't take 20%. I don't know what you're reading. Patreon takes, I think it's 12%. I think they changed their rates at one point, and but I'm grandfathered in because I've been with them so long that I'm still on the old plan. But Patreon more than earns their percent. I mean, don't think that PayPal doesn't take a percent, right? If you send me euros, then I'm going to pay a transaction. I'm going to pay a conversion fee, and I'm going to pay. Typically, it's 3% or 3.5% is Patreon's or PayPal's cut. But Patreon is providing a service. Patreon tracks all my patrons. He bills them every month. You could send me $5 right now and I'd never hear from you again. But if you sign up as a patron, then it charges you every month automatically, and that has value. Patreon integrates with my Discord server. So automatically, when you sign up on a patron tier, you get access to the Discord server. And if your credit card is declined, or if you choose to unsubscribe, then you lose that access. That's handled automatically. Patreon is a valuable service that I'm happy to pay for, however much I end up paying them in terms of percent. So the fact that you would rather send me money, I mean, that's up to you. You can. You can. If you go to my website and you go to the Support Me page, there is a link for ways you can pay me, including a PayPal link. Now, you're not going to get access to the Discord server. That's not, you got to be a patron for that. That's just because I'm not manually managing people joining and leaving the Discord server. But you can PayPal me if you want. You can send me Bitcoin if you want. I don't care. Do whatever you want. But Patreon, I don't in any way question the cut that Patreon takes. They earn it by delivering a service. Revo FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. I have a Mamba F405 Mark II powered off of Beck due to damage. Where'd you go, Revo? Oh, nope. All is fine, except the battery voltage in Betaflight fluctuates by plus or minus 1 volt. Is there a fix? The Beck is wired to VCC. Is it a 5-volt Beck, Revo FPV? A 5-volt Beck should not be wired to VCC, because VCC typically expects minimum 7 volts. You should probably, if it's a 5-volt Beck, you should wire it to the 5-volt pad on the flight controller, not the VCC pad. Alrighty. Oh, that's correct. You will not get VBAT in the OSD, but you won't get VBAT in the OSD. Yeah, if your 5-volt regulator's dead, you probably shouldn't be feeding VBAT into the VBAT pad. Blaze FPV wants to know, any thoughts on diatone 32-bit ESCs? I've had 4 of them blow up on me. I've only been flying for 6 months. Here's the thing, Blaze. If I were to say to you, diatone ESCs are the best, most durable ESCs I've ever known, that wouldn't change the fact that you've bought 4 of them and they blew up on you. So if I were in your situation, I wouldn't buy diatone ESCs anymore. Because whether it's bad luck or something you're doing, or you gotta change your game somehow. You know what I mean? If I had a piece of hardware fail 4 of them in 6 months, I would buy something else. I don't know what. Just anything. Foxier Reaper is a very good ESC. I agree with Bubby on that one. Acon, very good ESCs. T-Motor is usually very good. I've heard some people question whether Acon, because the Acon 20mm flight controller and the T-Motor 20mm flight controller look practically identical. Some people have suspected that Acon makes T-Motor ESCs, and in that case, that would explain why T-Motor ESCs are very good. So, those are the ones that Hobbywing, I think, are usually good. Although they may have had a bad run recently. Dingles wants to know, how come most high-end 5-inch frames are a squished X? Wouldn't a pure X be better? The answer is because people want to get the props out of the FPV cam and the GoPro. That's the answer. But they don't want to go to a dead cat style frame because that has more effects on flight. Now, Aber the Ham has a hot take. Aber, take it easy now. Take it easy now, man. Aber the Ham says, if you've only been in the hobby 6 months and you've killed 4 ESCs, 99.9999999 chance it's your fault. He's not wrong, Revo FPV. Not Revo FPV, sorry. He's not wrong. Like, I wouldn't say that. But he's not wrong. It may be something you're doing. The reason I wouldn't say that is because the next question you're going to ask, yeah, well, what is it? Because it's kind of a dick move to go, hey, man, this is your fault. Okay, well, good luck with that. Right? Like, maybe just shut up. But he's not wrong. That's a lot of dead ESCs. Have you messed with your filter sliders, the PID sliders? Are you banging the shit out of the ESC trying to turtle mode? Are you just really bad at soldering and you're blowing solder balls all over the place? Like, there are various things that could explain why it was your fault. I wouldn't point the finger at you directly, but the thing is, there also is bad hardware in this hobby, right? That's the reason. That's the other reason that I wouldn't necessarily just jump down somebody's throat. Is it? Let me put it this way. If you bought 4 Sony cameras and you said every single one of them was defective out of the box, I'd be like, no. Nuh-uh. Nope. That did not happen. Sony did not send you 4 defective cameras out of the box. That's 100% you. I don't know what you did or how you did it. Sony didn't do that. But if you said, I bought 4, again, I'm not going to name names because I'm feeling like being polite today. I bought 4 flight controllers from some company in FPV, and all 4 of them were defective. I'd be like, maybe. I mean, it could also be your fault. But it's like not inconceivable, right? So Diatone usually makes pretty good. I will say Diatone usually makes decent ESCs. However, the Diatone Basic line, when the Diatone Basic first came out, there was a person on my Discord who said that he blew like 3 of the ESCs. And he's someone who I'm confident it was not his fault. So I was a little bit put off. But the Diatone Pro are supposed to be really good. But I couldn't vouch for him personally. Anyway. Oh, man. All that mowing is catching up with me. It's catching up with me. I don't think Diatone's that bad. If you got 4 bad ESCs in a row, I do think that maybe there's something you're doing that's causing it. I don't think they're that bad. Augie103 has a question about rates. Augie asks, do you think that a pilot without much experience should load pro rates and then adjust and stick to those rates? Or should the pilot start with default Betaflight rates and adjust the rates to the pilot when you grow out of it? Do you have any base rates or things to avoid for beginners or intermediate and advanced pilots? I don't think the Betaflight default rates are very good. That's a little bit of a... I mean, how could you say the rates are good or bad? Rates are purely subjective. Okay. I don't love the way the default Betaflight rates fly, though. I think that they are a little bit too low for freestyle, a little bit too fast for racing. Well, maybe they wanted something right in the middle. And I don't think they have as much expo as I like. So there's the, I just think that they're a little bit kind of blah. But they get the job done. I would say that a mistake that beginners make when they are trying out rates is that lots of experienced pilots like to have really fast rates and or a lot of curve in the rate so that they will get a soft center with control and then a sudden transition to a very fast full stick. And beginners, and I was guilty of this, there was a time when I flew at like 1100 degrees per second. I've since come down. I fly closer to 900 right now. that beginners want to emulate their favorite pilots, and your favorite pilot may fly at an extremely high rate because they can do it and you can't. And you make your life much more difficult by trying to fly at extremely high rates. So, I would say as a beginner, start with low rates. The 533 rates are actually great generic beginner rates. I actually fly 533 rates with a little bit of extra expo to soften the center because I found them a little too twitchy for me around the center. But that's a great place to start. About 500 degrees per second as your max rate with a little bit of expo, and that's a great place to be. And then as you get more experience, you can turn the rates up and play with the expo, and you can kind of feel it out. Tailspin RC recommends 420 degrees per second. What an interesting number. Osama Khan. Osama Khan. Here with the nightly complaining about Beta FPV hardware. I didn't do it. You did it. I wasn't going to bring it up. But here's the question. Do we got to do this? I guess we're going to do this. My Beta FPV 1-watt module power cycles every 3 seconds when connecting to Taranis QX7 running EdgeTX. The Lewis script only shows loading. You could have a Beta FPV makes really inconsistent hardware. My first guess is you have a bad module and you need to go try to get a new module. Like, that's not the only thing it could be, but if it's a Beta FPV hardware, Beta FPV makes a lot of good hardware, but they also make some bad hardware, and you could have got the bad one. So, Osama, I would try to exchange it for another module. I would personally try to return it and get a module from more reliable hardware manufacturer. It is a good module if you get one that isn't defective. It sounds like you have a defective one, and I probably wouldn't try to keep solving this. I would just go back and say, I think this is broken. Can you replace it for me? Brandon Beans says that the QX7 can't provide enough power. Is that true, Brandon? Do you know that for a fact? If Brandon Bean says that your max power is too high, if that was true, that doesn't seem right. I don't know about that. How can he lower the max power if the module won't load? Oh, the Lewis script not loading? That is because the QX7 needs the inverter mod. So the way to get the Lewis script to load is to flash EdgeTX and then enable 1-bit mode. Okay? So Osama Khan, the way to fix the Lewis script not working is to flash EdgeTX and then enable 1-bit mode. And you can flash EdgeTX at this website, buddy.edgetx.org. Okay? Spencer FPV, that's the exact same issue as the Crossfire QX7 inverter mod. But I don't know why it would be power cycling. 661 FPV, the Lewis script can't work without the inverter mod because it needs the upstream. It needs the telemetry connection to talk back and forth. Now, there may be a QX7 out there that has enough communication to let the Lewis script appear to work, but you could turn baud down. That would also work Flexo 3D. Nebulous James 1234 wants to know, I have the CADX Pro Vista DJI and my own receiver. Do I need a separate receiver on the drone? You said you have your own receiver. Where is your receiver if not on the drone? 661 FPV, the QX7 ACCST doesn't need the inverter mod. That is correct. It's only the older... No, sorry. The QX7 Access doesn't need the inverter mod. The ACC does. If yours is working, then you're either exceptionally lucky. I mean, you could just be an outlier, but most people need it. Nebulous James, if you have the DJI FPV controller, then yes, you can connect to the Vista and you don't need a receiver. But if you have another kind of controller, you need a compatible receiver. It's not Sam. I agree with you. I agree with you. It's not Sam and Jory are talking about Expo. And Jory argues that Expo makes for less precision at the outside of the stick. And that's true. With Expo, you are always trading precision in one part of the stick travel for precision in another part of the stick travel. So with Expo, you are giving increased precision at the center of the stick in exchange for less precision at full stick deflection. But here's the thing. When you're at center stick and you're making very small movements, do you care about the difference between a 20 degree per second and a 23 degree per second roll? Probably. Because that tiny change in the rotational rate can make a difference between hitting a gap and missing a gap. But when you're doing a snap roll, do you care if your stick is at 100% deflection or like 98% deflection? Do you care about 900 versus 878 degrees per second? You probably don't. When you're going to full stick deflection, what matters most, in my opinion, is timing. Okay? You're just boom. Now you're at full stick deflection and back to center. You're seldom at 95% stick deflection. Because the only reason you're at 95% stick deflection is because you're headed through that to full stick or back to center. Now, a lot of times when I do a roll or something, I might go snap and then boosh and come back to like 65%. That's fine. Right? That's back in the soft part of the expo curve where you have more precision. But I don't care about precision at full stick deflection because I'm just at full stick. I'm actually more precise at full stick deflection because it goes click and I hit the edge and I'm just there. There you go. I don't agree, Bubby. We're going to disagree. We're going to have some disagreements on this stream, Bubby. I'm not a fan of... I'm a fan, says Bubby, of linear rates and slow rates. I mean, Bubby, if you're willing to go down to 300 degrees per second, then yeah, run linear rates. That's fine. I'm with you there. Like, the most precision is going to be linear rates, and then, but you have to have a really low rate, like 300 degrees per second, at which point it's going to be very difficult for you to make sharp turns. But um, 661 FPV says the ExpressOS devs still recommend doing the inverter mod on the ACCSD QX7 even with EdgeTX in 1-bit mode. I mean, you could at least try 1-bit mode and see if it works, and then if it doesn't work, you can go in there with a soldering iron. Custom creations, I don't know how you could disable an onboard VTX to use an external one. Remove the antenna and eventually it'll burn itself out, I guess. I don't think there's a typical, easy way to disable an onboard VTX. If you knew where to cut the trace, you could cut a trace and cause it to power down. But I don't know how you're going to know where that is. Oh, man. Bubby uses Betaflight rates. Oh, Bubby. Oh, man. I thought you were raised right. We are 10 minutes from the end of the stream. We're going to go up till 10 o'clock in about another 10 minutes. Aaron Ciotti is going to start streaming. He can give you his opinion on linear rates. And he can give you his opinion on the Mobeetle, too. He's going to start posting the link to his stream very shortly. Is cachaça and FPV a good combo? Pedro Cesar, cachaça is good. I mean, make yourself a caipirinha and enjoy. I think I have some cachaça upstairs, actually. What's Ciotti doing? He hasn't started posting a link yet. I don't see nobody spanging with 500 degrees per second rates. Spang pilots represent. Sanjeewa Sampath says, I have updated Betaflight 4.3 RC5. Sanjeewa, go ahead and Betaflight 4.3.0, the official release just came out. Go ahead and just flash that. There's Ciotti. This is Ciotti's going to be streaming tonight, so go ahead. And check him out when we are done in about 10 minutes. William Keeling wants to know, how do you fix a Vortex 150 OSD after you connect it to Betaflight? What's wrong with the OSD? Did you flash Betaflight? Because I'm pretty sure the Vortex has its own custom firmware. Any thoughts on the Fractal 6575 whoop frames? Fractal makes good stuff. It's probably pretty good. Is it what? I don't know. Oh my God. Is this what we're doing? Are we doing? Is this what we're doing? Oh, I don't know about this. I don't know about that. Well, that's an interesting... I don't know about that. Oh, that's something. It seems like... I don't know. I heard a complaint yesterday from... who was it? Nick Burns. Nick Burns complained that he broke more cameras mounting them down low like this than mounting them up high. He said he didn't like to mount them down low. It sure does save weight. Geez, this thing must be so light. Can you actually buy this from Fractal? Is this actually in stock? Out of stock. Of course it is. Everything is out of stock. I think this thing is going to be light as hell. I'm not sure it's going to be durable, though. I think it's going to be light as hell, though. Cypher Fox says, as an engineer, nope. Oh. Mounting 1mm motors to a carbon frame breaks the motors when you crash. I wondered about that. I think that maybe that, I mean, I don't want to disrespect Fractal, who, you know, Fractal knows a thing or two, but I think that may be more clever than actually a good idea. Athix says the Infinity Loops guys fly the Fractal 65. Does that mean it's durable? I mean, that probably means it flies good, but does that mean it's durable? Does that mean it's best for, like, a typical person? Or does that mean it flies really good, but it's only good if you're a sponsored pilot who can afford to break a bunch of stuff? I'm just saying. Heads from Infinity said it's super durable. Well, it probably is then. Has he done something clever with the way the motors are mounted to keep them from taking shocks? No, it just looks like they're screwed down. There you go. Interesting. I mean, at that point, why not just leave the prop ducts off and just freestyle the shit out of it? Probably could do that. Alrighty, folks. Let's see if we got any last-minute questions. Tailspin RC, I agree. I would like to see Mr. Shutterbug review this fractal kit. He knows a thing or two about lightweight frames. Amplified Car Audio says, I have a Cadix Turtle that has a MIPI connector. Does this mean I can use any camera that uses a MIPI? No. I mean, maybe, but no. The MIPI is just a physical connection, a physical connection standard. The camera is not necessarily going to send data that the device can interpret. It's just a plug, basically. Ciati agrees with me. Ciati says the stiff fractal carbon fiber frame is brutal on motor shafts. That's my inclination as well. If people are saying that the Infinity guys tear the hell out of it, I mean, the thing is that, here's the thing. I don't want to point fingers at a specific person, but I've seen cases in the past where a pilot put out a product and tore the shit out of it, and people liked it, and it turned out that it wasn't very durable. And what was happening is that the pilot was just like breaking it all the time. And just like, they'll say they broke motors or they broke the frame, and they just had 20 of them, and they didn't care because it was their product, and they just had 1 million of them sitting in the garage. And so then people were like, oh, well, he tears the shit out of it. It must be good. And it was good, but it also wasn't durable. So without pointing the finger at anybody in specific, I do want to say that just because a top pilot tears the shit out of it might mean it flies good, but it doesn't tell you how many they broke. And so if Ciati comes out and says, yeah, it breaks, I'm more inclined to lean towards Ciati's side than to the side of a top pilot who has somehow figured out how to do. Maybe the top pilot doesn't break it, but they know a bunch of tricks. Anyway. Ciati says he hasn't tested the fractal frame, but he has tested the Cockroach 75, which has a carbon fiber brace. So maybe the fractal frame is different. Ciati should test the fractal frame. Yeah, let's find out. Okay. Alrighty, folks, we are going to wrap up for the night. Thank you guys for coming out. I'll see you tomorrow for the news with It's Plenty and throughout the week on the channel. But that is going to do it. And keep your eyes open for my upcoming Raid Shadow Legends live stream. If you missed the beginning of the stream, go back and watch the beginning of the stream to find out more about that. But that's going to do it tonight. Thanks, you guys. Have a great stream. Ciati, happy flying, everybody, and see you when I see you.